Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know, first, a €200 million German river heat pump sparks a European energy race, pitting monolithic versus modular designs. We'll explore how this engineering competition could transform green infrastructure and set the standard for how future cities are built. Second, the US government partners with tech rivals like Google and OpenAI to launch a new tech force aiming to win the AI race. So we'll discuss why this deep corporate integration matters and what it means for government vendor lock-in and the future of tech policy. Third, $1.6 billion was wiped from Zillow's market value as Google tests a feature that challenges the real estate giant's business model. In this episode, we'll break down Google's verticalization playbook and what it signals for Zillow's survival and potential antitrust scrutiny. Fourth, Fitbit's co-founders exit Google amid layoffs and user backlash, fueling fears of a strategic acquisition kill of the wearable brand. This discussion will reveal how the forced migration to Google accounts connects to its AI health coach strategy and what it means for user data privacy. Fifth, a breakthrough AR headset powered by a private 5G network allows a fan to see his team paving the way for mainstream consumer glasses. Today, we'll take a closer look at how solving for extreme edge cases in assistive tech accelerates innovation and its implications for the consumer AR roadmap. So, a German energy company is about to do something pretty audacious, suck 10,000 litres of water per second from the Rhine River. They're doing it with a pipe so massive, you could walk through it standing completely upright. The goal? To power what could be the world's most powerful heat pump, a system designed to warm 40,000 homes by replacing an old coal power plant. The price tag for this single project in the city of Mannheim is a staggering €200 million. Now, I know sucking that much water out of a river sounds dramatic, but the water isn't being consumed, it's being used as a thermal battery. The heat pump extracts a tiny amount of warmth from the river water, just a few degrees, and then returns the slightly cooler water back to the Rhine. While the company says the temperature impact will be minimal, the big question experts are asking is about the cumulative effect. If dozens of cities start doing this on the same river, what happens to the ecosystem? It's a critical environmental question at the heart of this green revolution. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn, sparking a new kind of energy race. A top executive at a rival company, Everlance, went on the record about the project saying simply, "It is a competition, yeah, we're open about it." And they're backing that up. Just as Mannheim claims the title for the most powerful heat pump modules, that same rival is building an even bigger system in Denmark. Set to go online in 2027, the 176 megawatt project in Aalborg will supply nearly 1/3 of the entire town's heating demand. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. It's not just about who can build the biggest pump, it's a battle of engineering philosophies. We're seeing Mannheim using a monolithic approach with massive custom design units for maximum efficiency. Aalborg, at the same time, is taking a completely different path with a modular approach, linking together smaller standardized units. The modular design is more flexible and easier to scale, but the monolithic design might be more powerful. The winner of this race could set the standard for how cities across the world are built for decades to come. This isn't just about a few one-off projects. It's a radical overhaul of how entire cities stay warm by harvesting energy directly from rivers, seas, and even wastewater. And the technology making this green revolution possible is partly thanks to massive compressors originally designed for the oil and gas industry. It's a fascinating twist because this technological dependency means that some of the same companies that built our fossil fuel infrastructure are now the key suppliers for its replacement. Research shows that established energy firms are shifting their innovation focus, leveraging their existing supply chains and technical know-how to build these new green systems. The giants of the old energy world are becoming essential players in building the new one. The scale of this transformation is immense. In Helsinki, Finland, a similar push to decarbonise has resulted in a district heating network of 1,400 kilometres of pipe, connecting nearly 90% of all buildings in the capital city. And Helsinki's system reveals another secret to making this work. Alongside their high-tech heat pumps, they are also installing less efficient electric boilers. It sounds counterintuitive, but these boilers act as a crucial backup. When renewable energy sources like wind and solar produce more power than the grid needs, the system turns on the boilers to convert that excess electricity into storable heat. This helps balance the grid and ensures a stable energy supply, proving that sometimes you need simple, even inefficient tech to support a complex green system. The era of heating entire districts with renewable energy isn't a distant future. It's being built right now. Speaking of massive infrastructure projects and national competition, the US is launching its own race, but this one is for AI supremacy. A seemingly impossible collaboration became a reality yesterday, with the Trump administration creating a new national tech core by partnering with a shocking list of private sector rivals: Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and OpenAI. You might remember we previously walked through how the White House shifted to a move fast posture on AI policy with its AI action plan. Well, this new program is that strategy turning from paper into people. So the thing is, this marks a major shift from previous government efforts. Programs like the US Digital Service and 18F were mostly about building tech skills times inside times the government. This new tech force is different. It's a move toward deep corporate integration, relying on outside companies to supply the talent. It's a fundamentally new playbook that operationalizes an idea we've discussed before. Private leaders not just advising policy, but embedding in the apparatus that builds it. They're calling it the US Tech Force. And the mission is to recruit 1,000 elite engineers and specialists for a 2-year tour of duty. To lure top talent away from Silicon Valley, the government is offering salaries up to $200,000 plus benefits. This tour of duty model is a direct attempt to solve the retention problem that plagued previous efforts, creating a clear, lucrative path from a tech giant to government service and then back to the private sector. But this isn't just about modernizing government systems. The core objective is a direct challenge to China for dominance in the rapidly growing artificial intelligence industry. This move comes just 4 days after an executive order was signed to establish a national AI policy framework. That order, America's AI Action Plan, represented a clear tilt toward deregulation to speed deployment, a sharp reversal from earlier clean energy requirements for data center build-outs. When we place the US and Chinese strategies side by side, the contrast is stark. China uses a top-down, state-directed model. The US is betting on this public-private partnership model, hoping the private sector's agility will give it an edge. The advantage is speed, but the risk is that corporate and national interests don't always align. After all, Washington also pivoted on chip policy, letting Nvidia sell advanced AI hardware to China for a 25% cut of each sale. That toll road approach shows how economic and security goals are blending, even as partners like Nvidia are now integral to this new tech force. And believe it or not, the program creates a powerful revolving door between Washington and big tech. Private partners like Oracle and Palantir can nominate their own employees for government service. This takes the dynamic we've seen with investor influence, like Sriram Krishnan's appointment as a White House AI advisor, from the policy office into day-to-day implementation. Now, get this. This creates a serious risk of what's called vendor lock-in. Imagine a specialist from Amazon Web Services helps build a new government system. They're naturally going to build it using the tools they know best, Amazon's tools. When they leave, the government is now technologically dependent on that one company. It could stifle competition and innovation down the road. In return, once the 2-year term is up, these tech force members can then seek full-time jobs back at those same companies. This raises huge ethical questions. When people move so freely between a company and the government agency that might regulate it, the potential for conflicts of interest is enormous. Research shows these blurred lines can lead to corporate priorities influencing public projects. We've already seen political backlash to the executive order itself, so don't be surprised if opposition resurfaces here. The US Office of Personnel Management Director put it bluntly, stating the goal is to, quote, reshape the workforce to make sure we have the right talent on the right problems. The bottom line is that this new workforce will be in a position to shape policy. That national AI framework could be used to override stricter state-level AI laws, like those being debated in California. Centralizing authority in Washington could speed things up, but it also sets up a direct clash with states and is a starkly different path from the EU's unified risk-based rulebook. The lines between Silicon Valley and Washington are being redrawn, all in the name of winning the global AI race. We were just talking about tech giants collaborating, but that's not always the case. In fact, one of them may have just declared war on a completely different industry. Zillow just lost about $1.6 billion in market value in a single day. And the reason? In a word, Google. Actually, we have seen this movie before. This is part of what experts call Google's verticalization playbook. The search giant has a history of entering new markets or verticals and completely upending them. Think about Google Flights challenging Expedia or Google Jobs competing with LinkedIn. Google uses its search dominance to become the new front door, and that's precisely what Zillow is afraid of. The search giant appears to be quietly testing a new feature that puts real estate listings directly into its search results. Leaked screenshots show Google's test allows users to view property details, request a tour, and contact an agent, functions that look almost identical to Zillow's own platform. The market immediately panicked, with Zillow stock plunging over 9%. This signals that investors are bracing for a war. Now, some analysts on Wall Street are saying to hold off on the panic button. They point out that about 80% of Zillow's traffic is organic or direct, meaning users are typing Zillow.com right into their browser or have the app. That's a powerful brand. But here's the catch. It's not clear how many of those users start by typing Zillow into Google search first, a search that Google could easily intercept. That brand loyalty is strong, but it might not be invincible. Other experts, however, see this as a long-term existential threat. An analyst at Goldman Sachs believes Google's new feature is designed to directly compete with Zillow's core moneymaker, its Premier Agent program. This is so critical because Zillow's Premier Agent program can cost an agent anywhere from $20 to over $400 per lead, with agents paying a large fee upfront. Google, on the other hand, is testing a pay-per-lead model. This could create a massive shift, offering agents a potentially cheaper alternative and directly attacking the business model that makes up the bulk of Zillow's revenue. The fear is that Google could siphon off the 228 million quarterly visitors that currently flock to Zillow's platform. While the full impact could take years to play out, the lines have been drawn. The undisputed king of internet search is now field testing a product that strikes at the very heart of Zillow's business model. And this all leads to an even bigger question. With the Department of Justice already in an antitrust battle with Google, this move into the multi-trillion-dollar real estate market could become a massive regulatory headache for the tech giant. This test might not just be a threat to Zillow, it could become Exhibit A in future antitrust cases. Speaking of tech giants disrupting businesses, the spotlight is now on Google itself and what it's doing to a brand it already owns, Fitbit. The story begins with a decision that caught many by surprise. The two co-founders of Fitbit, James Park and Eric Friedman, have just left the company. Their exit comes as Google laid off roughly 1,000 employees from its hardware divisions, hitting the Fitbit team hard. So this raises a huge question we've seen before with big tech buyouts. Is this an acquisition kill where a beloved brand is intentionally dismantled? Or is it a strategic absorption where Google is simply harvesting Fitbit's tech and massive user base for its own products? Google insists it's investing in the brand with new devices planned for 2026, but their actions are telling a very different story to the users who built the company. First, Google angered its loyal fan base by shutting down popular community features like challenges. Then it pushed a mandatory software update for the Versa 3 and Sense models that, for some users, caused battery life to crash from 6 days down to just 1. If that was just the appetizer, the main course is that the clock is now ticking on the Fitbit you once knew. By early 2026, every single user will be forced to migrate their account and log in with Google. It is no longer optional. This is the complete Googleification of Fitbit. And here's where it gets interesting, especially when it comes to your private health data. Google has publicly committed not to use Fitbit health data for its advertising business. However, the big unanswered question is what else they might use it for. There's growing concern that this sensitive data, your sleep patterns, your heart rate could be used, even if anonymized, to train Google's powerful AI models. This decision brings both benefits for Google and comes with inherent risks for users. We're seeing Google take this path while at the same time a company like Apple builds its health kit differently with a heavy emphasis on user privacy by storing most data encrypted on device. This is why the forced migration is making so many users nervous, especially after lawsuits like the one involving the Flow Health app alleged that sensitive user data was shared with third parties, including Google. The strategy is becoming obvious. Trackers like the popular Charge 6 now come preloaded with Google Maps and Google Wallet, pulling users deeper into Google's ecosystem. The real star of the show is now the Google Pixel Watch 4. It may have Fitbit tech inside, but it is a Google device designed to be the centerpiece of its wearable ambitions. The reality is, Fitbit is being caught in the squeezed middle of the wearables market. At the high end are powerful smartwatches like the Apple Watch and Google's own Pixel Watch. At the low end, a flood of super cheap trackers from brands like Amazfit. The market for mid-range dedicated fitness trackers where Fitbit dominated is shrinking. This forces Google to either push Fitbit's technology up into its premium Pixel Watch or risk fading away. Despite the turmoil, Google is signaling its endgame. It's systematically dismantling the old Fitbit to build its new wearable empire. And a huge part of that empire is a bet on artificial intelligence. Google is rolling out an AI-powered personal health coach using its Gemini model for Fitbit Premium subscribers. It's the final piece of the puzzle. Absorb the users, integrate the tech, and then lock you into a new AI-driven Google service. We were just talking about the challenges in the wearable fitness market. Now, let's shift our focus to another piece of wearable tech that's creating life-changing experiences. Imagine being a die-hard football fan for nearly 2 decades, going to every home game for 17 years, but never once actually seeing your team with your own eyes. That was the reality for John Attenborough, a lifelong Dundee United supporter. But at a recent match, a piece of technology changed everything. Using a special Give Vision headset, the 36-year-old fan saw his team for the very first time. He called the experience absolutely amazing and a wee bit emotional. Believe it or not, we are on the cusp of a revolution in assistive technology. You see, devices like this are essentially specialized augmented reality headsets, and the innovations required to solve for these specific high-need situations like severe visual impairment are actually paving the way for the mainstream consumer AR glasses that tech giants are racing to build. The solutions they find for extreme edge cases often provide the breakthroughs needed for everyone else. The moment that stood out, seeing his team walk out of the tunnel. He said, just that moment when the music hits and the teams walk out the tunnel, I'll never forget that. This isn't just a blurry view. The headset, which has cameras and a handheld controller, allowed him to zoom in from his seat in the back row and do something he'd never done before. Read the players' names on the back of their shirts. He could even see the manager on the touchline, an experience he described as unbelievable. But how does it provide such a clear view even from the back row? Well, this isn't just a simple camera magnifying a distant image. The system at the stadium uses a private 5G network to stream the high-definition live TV feed of the game directly to the headset in real time. That perfect broadcast quality image is then projected right onto the working part of the user's retina. It's a completely different approach from other devices that might just magnify the real world or use AI to describe it. For years, John relied on audio descriptive commentary to follow the action. This new technology represents a profound shift. For years, audio commentary has been an essential service translating the visual world into an audio picture. But this new tech aims to restore the visual experience itself. Now, it's not a perfect trade-off. Some of these headsets can be heavy or cause eye strain, but for many like John, the emotional power of actually seeing the event far outweighs those potential downsides. This technology is not just about one game. For John Attenborough, who has a loan of the device until the new year, it means he will get to see his first ever Dundee derby. And that word loan points to a really clever business model. You might think this is a device that costs thousands of dollars. The truth is, Give Vision partners directly with the venues, like the football club, who then lease the technology. They offer it as a premium accessibility service, just like they offer audio commentary. This makes it available to more fans without that huge individual cost. This trial has completely shifted his perspective on what's possible, proving that technology has the power to create unforgettable moments. In his own words, it has opened up a whole new world.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.